Welcome to Couch Football, Offseason Edition, Episode 2. You're here with Luke, Ryan, and Caleb, recurring ghost.
Mm-hmm. I'm basically a regular. Ryan's the guest.
Oh,
Sure.
well, I didn't know you saw me that way.
Last episode was pre-free agency, and we did some speculating. We talked about some trades, and you know what we're going to do? We're going to talk about some trades, and we're going to talk about some signings, and then we're going to maybe do some more speculation. So let's jump.
More of the same.
Let's jump right into some of the biggest news that happened over the last 2 weeks since the last time we recorded. So Max Crosby. Ryan, did you hear Max Crosby was traded to the Ravens?
Oh, he actually got traded. He got signed by them? Wow.
It was 2 first-rounders. And I feel like Ryan and I are partially responsible for what happened because if you listen to the first 30 seconds of the last episode we did, we talked about how nothing is set in stone until the league year starts, but I think I made a comment about I've never seen someone actually get pulled. I've never seen something get pulled off the table in the tampering period.
And what did we see?
And then the Ravens failed his physical. So, I don't know about how much you guys looked into it, but I feel like I learned a lot about player physicals from this experience because apparently it is not pass-fail. Apparently a team can fail a player's physical for literally any reason, which leads to a lot of conspiracy theories. So, and then real quick, I will lay some groundwork down before I open this one up. And I don't know if you guys listened to Max Crosby's podcast episode that just came out a couple days ago, but he kind of spoke out about the situation. And there was some interesting stuff he brought up. I thought the most interesting thing was the GM did not meet with Crosby the day that he got into Baltimore and went to their facility. Most cases, the GM, the head coach, they'll meet you. They'll be the first guys to meet with you. They'll meet you at the door usually and walk you into the building. The GM was nowhere to be found. He didn't talk to the GM until they pulled him into a room and said that they were concerned about his physical. So, pretty interesting. So, I'll open it up. Whichever one of you can speak the fastest, we'll get your 2 cents in. So.
Did it?
Yeah, we both have the same idea.
I think that, I think it was cold feet. That's my conspiracy. I think that because they signed Trey Hendrickson like the next day. So, and, they didn't give up anything to get him. So I personally think it was cold feet.
Yep.
But, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I agree with you. Ryan, your thoughts on the situation?
Well, I mean, it does seem kind of strange that they would bring him in the building just to fail him for seemingly a paltry reason, but I agree with Caleb. I mean, Trey Hendrickson, granted, he's 2-3 years older. They didn't have to give up anything to sign him, so I don't know. It's shady, but it turned out all right for the Ravens at least.
Yeah, they only lost the respect of every other NFL franchise. So yeah, I agree with Caleb. I do think it was cold feet. I think that they had enough time to think it over in between the time of submitting the trade and the time of Crosby getting in the building. And what I honestly think it was, and I do think there should be a penalty for doing what they did, because what I think happened. So you guys saw Trey Hendrickson was asking $35 million a year. That was the number he was trying to get.
Mm-hmm.
And he was probably the most intriguing free agent, probably the best available free agent on most people's board.
And he's top 10 in his position. So.
And he did not get signed on the first day. And I think the Ravens thought that someone was going to give him $35 million the first day. So the Ravens they got their cake and they got to eat it too, because they made a trade for Max Crosby, and then when the entire league blackballed Trey Hendrickson and he decided to settle for less money, they were able to get in and make an offer and then pull the Crosby deal off the table, which I do think is really shady business practice.
Yeah, I mean, not to mention, you think about how many other teams made different moves according to Max Crosby being traded, right? Like we don't even know, but
Exactly.
the fact is, like, for instance, the Bears could have been unloading some of their players, right, to actually get Max Crosby, and then he's traded to the Ravens. They're like, okay, well, we're gonna shift gears here. We're gonna do something different, right? And that's where I know he was. What was he traded for? Like 3 days, 4 days, something like that. But that does matter
Yeah.
because you're literally making decisions on players, whether they're going to stay in your team or you're going to trade them at that time.
Yeah. Basically, sounds like the consensus from every inside scoop guy in the NFL that's around GMs. Pretty much the general consensus is every GM is pretty upset with Baltimore. And if I'm Baltimore, then I'm a little bit worried about future trades and deals that you're going to be trying to make, cuz you're going to be trying to get some deals done during draft night with other franchises, and none of them trust you right now. So
Mm-hmm.
it's probably going to work out okay for the Raiders, because while they did, they went on a shopping spree in free agency, they do still have enough cap to pay for Crosby's salary for the year. So if he does stick around, then they should be able to retain him. Truthfully, I do think they're going to shop him. I think that this whole we're going to keep Crosby now. I do think that that's smoke and mirrors. I think that it's trying to preserve his value, because I think that they do deep down think that they can still get 2 first rounders for him, but I do think that the price just went down. So, yeah, that'll be an interesting situation to monitor. Okay, let's go to the trade that happened a couple days ago. We're big fantasy football players. This one has a lot of fantasy football implications. We've got Jalen Waddle getting traded to the Broncos. Dolphins receiver, obviously. Traded for a 2026 first rounder, third rounder, and fourth rounder. They're swapping fourth round picks, so really they're trading back in the fourth round. And it's the 30th overall pick, so it's a late first rounder, and it's a late third rounder too. So, but it is a receiver, I will say an injury-prone receiver. He has struggled with health over the last couple of seasons. But he's in the prime of his career. He's 27 years old. The Dolphins are clearing, or not clearing. They're not clearing cap space. They're going to have like an NFL record in dead cap between Tua, Waddle, Tyreek Hill, all these players. They're like 120 million in dead cap right now. So what'd you guys think about this one? Ryan, we'll start with you.
Well, it's I don't know whether it's surprising or not for Miami that they're shopping all their players going into a rebuild. Kind of unfortunate for Malik Willis. Gets on a new team, opportunity to start, and you ship off the best receiver they have. So it's a little unfortunate for him. On the flip side, though, Bo Nix in Denver gets a top 25, top 15 wide receiver in the league. Regardless if he's injury prone or not, the talent's there. We've seen, who was it, Mike Evans? He's always injured, but he seems to put up yards. So I don't know if that's a huge concern for Jalen Waddle, but throwing him in a room with or in a wide receiver room with Cortland Sutton, Troy Franklin, who's a little bit younger, and then Pat Bryant, who they got this past year. That'll be really good for them. So I believe it was a phenomenal trade for Denver, and they should benefit a lot from it this next year.
Okay. Caleb?
Yeah, I mean, I like it from Denver's side. Like I know they're trading a first rounder, but the fact is, like you said, it's a late first rounder. It's practically a second rounder, and like Ryan said, I think what they told Malik Willis is they were like, "This is your chance to really prove yourself." And you know what? We're going to get rid of all your good wide receivers. So now you can really prove yourself, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. No, Malik Willis, he is right back to a similar situation to what he had in Tennessee, where he has no supporting cast, and they're gonna tell him to make something out of nothing. I do wonder, do you guys think that there was any talks with Malik? Because obviously Malik Willis had options. Do you think there were any talks between him and the Dolphins about, like, hey, just so you know, we're probably going to be tanking this year, and we're shopping Jalen Waddle, and we're shopping a decent amount of our other players, and I think Tyreek Hill was cut by then, I think, so he at least already knew that Tyreek Hill was going to be gone, but do you guys think there was any communication between the GM and Malik Willis before he signed there that this was potentially a tank season?
Uh, I don't know. I mean, he knew he was walking into a rebuild, I think. So I doubt a formal conversation happens. I doubt they were like, hey, we're gonna shop Jalen Waddle and shop these guys. I think he just kind of knew he was walking into a rebuild, and hopefully he has some leash, right? And just that they can say, hey, you don't have to be great this first year, but let's like work on it. Which the problem is in the NFL, that almost never happens, right? Because if you suck, then fans are like, boo, get him off, So,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it happened to Sam Darnold a couple times.
yeah, yep, that's right.
So. Yep. Yeah, I just think if I'm Malik Willis, I am upset because he could have gone to. I'm sure he had offers from other franchises. I think he's from the Miami area, and I think that played into his decision. But he had other options, and going to a team that now is down their 2 top receivers, in addition to a lot of other key pieces, that is now in cap space, dead cap hell. I wouldn't be too happy if I was him. But maybe, he was a 3-year deal. So, maybe a season from now they'll look like geniuses. Maybe they'll have a really solid supporting cast next season for him.
Is Waddle the de facto number 1 there? Or is Courtland Sutton kind of a 1A, 1B in Denver?
I think he is, but I don't view Jalen Waddle as a true number 1. I think he's better than Courtland Sutton, but at the same time, like, I can't believe the value he went for. People are bringing up A.J. Brown now. What is A.J. Brown going to get traded for if Waddle went for a 1, a 3, and a 4? Or a 1 and a 3, basically, because the 4 is a swap. A.J. Brown's going to go for what, a first and a second now?
Possibly. I just don't know. Going back to Waddle and Sutton, if he's the de facto number 1, because their contracts are both in the 20s. Waddle might be in the high 20s and Sutton in the low 20s, but I'm just wondering if Waddle wanted to be traded to the Denver Broncos. Granted, they were a playoff contender and almost a Super Bowl contender if Bo Nix stayed healthy. So maybe he was on board with it and requested a trade.
Could be. You guys know whose fault this is? Why Jalen Waddle is going for a first and a third rounder, and A.J. Brown is probably going to go for even better? You know whose fault it is? Nope. It's the Bears' fault, because everyone knows the first moves that involve a position are what set the tone, and the Bears got a second-round pick for DJ Moore. And everyone thought that the Bills were overpaying. Well, now the Broncos are overpaying for receivers, and whoever gets A.J. Brown is going to be overpaying for a receiver. It's the Bears' fault. Okay. All right. So other trades that happened, I'll quick blitz through some of these. Basically, you guys just stop me if you want to get more into it. Michael Pittman Jr. went to the Steelers on a 6th, 7th round swap. So Colts got a 6th rounder. The Steelers got a 7th rounder. He did carry a $24 million cap hit. And the Steelers are now taking all of that on. The Colts were able to drop all of it onto the Steelers. So Pittman ends up with Pittsburgh. That's how poetic. The Chiefs, they traded a 2027 sixth rounder for Justin Fields. So a lot of people don't think Mahomes is going to be starting the season off. They think he's going to miss, anywhere from 2 to 6 weeks. So the Chiefs kind of looking for options to start the season out, and it looks like Justin Fields will probably be starting the season for them. So
how sad are we all going to feel as Bears fans if he goes out there and just plays great? Like, man.
I'm all for it. I've been a Justin Fields fan for a little while now, and feel he hasn't gotten a fair shot. But that's just my opinion.
Here's what I know about Justin Fields. His over/under for passing yards last year in some of the games towards the end of the season for the Jets were literally 89 yards. That was his over/under.
Yep. Yeah.
And he went under a lot.
I mean,
well, he had no receivers to throw to. I mean, come on.
You have to throw out the Jets here though, because no QB ever plays well with the Jets.
Yeah, I'm actually a Justin Fields fan. I'd love to see him succeed. It's just more of I was just more pointing out the terrible dysfunction that the Bears were a few years ago.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people comparing this move to when Andy Reid brought in Michael Vick into Philadelphia, because way back when Andy Reid he did kind of have a soft spot for mobile QBs, so I think this guy's licking his chops about what kind of plays he can script up with Justin Fields in mind as opposed to Patrick Mahomes. So I expect those first couple weeks, I think you're going to see a lot of read options. You're going to see a lot more design QB runs. So could be cool.
What do you guys think the chances are that Justin Fields takes that job and excels and never gives it back to Mahomes?
0.02%.
It's I don't think there's any chance Mahomes doesn't get
I
it.
don't know. Could be cool.
Fields could move on to the Raiders or another team, but there's no way.
Or Mahomes could move on because Fields is that good.
Okay.
Yeah, that could happen.
Okay, so Geno Smith is going back to the Jets, which is hilarious. My favorite joke is that the Jets had Geno Smith both before and after he was good. So, and then this one is not newsworthy, but I do want to point it out because when I saw the notification yesterday, I audibly just laughed for a good 5 minutes. The Panthers trading Andy Dalton away to the Eagles. 38-year-old QB traded away for a 7th-round pick.
It's pretty good. They freed up $2 million in cap space. Got something out of it. I mean, hey, it's a good move.
Yeah. And then I don't actually remember in the last episode if the Bears-Garrett Bradbury trade had happened or not. I don't think it did. So just to touch on that, if it, as Bears fans, I just want to say that I actually thought this was a decent trade. It's a 5th rounder. Yeah, he's not a perfect center, but he's not bad considering the fact that the Bears are probably going to be drafting a center in one of the mid rounds now. So now they have their starter for next season, and then hopefully they can develop a younger guy. So that's what I'll say on that. Okay. Well, I think that does it for trades. So let's look at some of the free agent signings. And I mean, are there any specifically that you guys wanted to talk about?
So I got a few, but honestly, we could just go through some of the top wide receivers. These wide receiver contracts are crazy this year. The wide receivers getting this amount of money is insane.
They're expensive.
They're
getting quarterback money now.
When you compare it to the running back market, it does kind of make you think that the entire NFL is colluding against running backs.
A little bit. I mean, it's not. He was on the team before, but Alec Pierce going back to the Colts, $114 million over 4 years, $28.5 million a year.
Yep. It's crazy. Wan'Dale Robinson, $17.5 million.
Yep. I just can't. And Romeo Doubs going to the Patriots for $17 million a year. I just can't. Have those wide receivers done really anything to show you that they're worth that? Because that's wide receiver 1 money.
nowadays that's wide receiver 2 money. Jamar Chase is making $40 million.
Yeah, but it's Jamar Chase. I mean, I don't know. I mean, they're like, okay, the Colts are paying Alec Pierce as their one. They got rid of Pittman.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so with the Dobbs situation, Stephon Diggs was getting paid an average salary of $21 million with the Patriots. They cut him. They bring in Dobbs for $17 million. Is it worth a $4 million difference? Is Dobbs worth the savings? He's younger. He's definitely younger. But even last year, how old is he? 32? 31? 30. He was 31 and 32 last year. So a 31, 32-year-old Stephon Diggs could still definitely play. He's not ripping the top of a defense off, but he was. I mean, Drake May looked his way on third downs all the time. So I'm not sure I'm not sure I'd make that move if I was the Patriots. I would have just kept Diggs, hopefully maybe not hopefully because he might be guilty, but provided he doesn't go to jail, I would rather just hold on to Stephon Diggs, just pay the extra $4 million, because I've never been a believer in Romeo Dobbs. I don't know. I'm a Bears fan too, though, so, don't take my word for it.
55 receptions last year for 724 yards and 6 touchdowns. It's not a bad stat line, but
you'll notice
you're kind of overpaying for those numbers.
Yeah. I don't think the Packers even made that big a push to bring Dobbs back. I do think that they'll make a big push. I think next year is Christian Watson's contract year.
Yeah.
And
it makes sense, though. The Packers have so many wide receivers that they need to get rid of.
They do.
Someone.
They do, but I think that they will make an effort to bring back Christian Watson. I don't think that they were really that hard up to bring Dobbs back. Let's look at some of these other ones real quick. Rashid Shaheed's gonna get $17 million a year to go back to Seattle. Seattle might be, fantasy-wise, Seattle might be a little bit murky now because you've got JSN. Cooper Kupp might stay in Seattle now, so you've got JSN, Cooper Kupp, Rashid Shaheed, and then Torrey Horton, who before he got injured was looking like he was going to be a pretty solid receiver for them. So fantasy football-wise, obviously JSN is the number one. He's going to be a first-round pick next year. Who do you guys think is going to be the second receiver on Seattle next year? Do you think, like fantasy-wise, do you think you're in drafts? Are you going to be targeting Cooper Kupp? Or are you going to be targeting Rashid Shaheed? And then later rounds, are you maybe looking to swipe Torrey Horton with the last pick of your draft? But
why do you keep saying Horton's name? Nobody's drafting that guy.
Oh, really? Go back and
nobody's drafting that guy.
Go back and look at his efficiency. Scored 2 touchdowns against me when Cole played him against me.
He's a wide receiver 4, debatably on. Yeah, there's no way you're looking at target. Maybe Shaheed. They're paying him like they're going to target him, but I think there's a little.
I mean, yeah, it is basically Shaheed versus Kupp. Who do you guys think? I thought Kupp was going to be gone because his production did not match what they were paying him, but they haven't traded him yet. They haven't released him yet, so it's looking like Kupp is probably going to stay on the team. So
look, if Shaheed and Cooper Kupp are, let's say they're both in the 6th round in fantasy drafts, right? My answer is mystery box. But if I had to pick between one of the two, I'd probably pick Shaheed because he gives you the special teams points as well. So I'd probably go with Shaheed there.
Okay. And then Mike Evans, he's going to get $14 million a year. There's injury concerns. He's going to San Francisco, though. This one shocked me. Could not imagine, before this happened, I could not imagine Mike Evans leaving Tampa Bay. I was like, somehow they're going to figure out a way to bring him back. But he's gone now, and look at the Tampa Bay landscape. It's kind of a similar question for fantasy football, right? Because where are you going to draft Egbuka? Where's Godwin going to go? Is Jalen McMillan and Tez Johnson, are those two guys going to be potential steals? So what are your guys' thoughts about the Tampa Bay situation, or what are your thoughts on the 49ers with Mike Evans, how much that improves their game versus, what they've got going on otherwise?
But I think you were right to say that Mike Evans has injury concerns, but that's just because he's going to San Francisco. So
That's
if
right.
he was going anywhere else, he'd be
It's
fine.
that dang substation.
Um,
It's got a magnetic
Yeah.
hold on them.
yeah, I liked the move for San Francisco because kind of what they've been missing is a big-bodied receiver who can actually like go up and catch the ball in the end zone, right? So they've been missing that for quite a while. I mean, they only had George Kittle, and George Kittle had some pretty bad injuries at the end of the season. So I like the move for them. They needed to make a move. As far as Tampa Bay, I kind of think Ibuka is probably going to go end of the third, beginning of the fourth, right at that turn next year. And I actually think he'll be a steal for whoever drafts him because I think he's going to go hyper targeted. I think he's going to have like 12, 13 targets a game. Godwin will be a decent pick there too. And then it'll be just Tez Johnson or, whoever else is available, kind of.
McMillan.
But yeah, McMillan, yeah, if he ever plays.
Who
But
who would you take? Would you take Tez Johnson or would you take McMillan at the end of the draft?
I have to see if McMillan's ever actually going to play because I had McMillan on my roster for most of the season last year and he never played. So
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, Ryan. Any thoughts here?
No, not really.
Okay.
I mean, I I don't know if I want to touch any receivers from Tampa Bay next year. I mean, somebody's going to get it, but it was like Green Bay this year. I mean, pick one and you might get the ball, you might not. So I will probably not be drafting any Tampa Bay wide receivers.
Yeah.
Maybe not even Mike Evans in San Francisco. But
Yeah.
I haven't seen any reports of this, but the way that Ibuka dropped off last year, I feel like he must have been injured, because I just you don't see players drop off that quickly, especially like wide receivers.
Oh, really? What about Rome Odunze last year for the Bears?
He was injured.
Yeah, but he did come back, and he wasn't the same.
Because he was injured, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. So then let's quick pivot back to the available receivers right now. We've got a couple of old guys that are available. We've got Tyreek Hill. Market value is $15 million. I think I read a report that the Bills were sniffing around him, so potentially Tyreek Hill and DJ Moore both on the bill. So the Bills were able to clear up some of DJ Moore's cap, and by clear up I mean they just pushed it out. So in like 2-3 years time, the Bills are going to be, and they keep doing that with a bunch of contracts, so the Bills are setting themselves up for a cap disaster in a couple years, but for now they're trying to make a Super Bowl run, so they don't care. So potentially they're going to go after Tyreek Hill. Stephon Diggs, he is the same age as Tyreek Hill. They're both 32. Still unsigned. Deebo Samuel is 30. He's unsigned. Curtis Samuel is somehow 29. I don't understand.
How is he 29? I feel like he's been in the league since Antoine Bolt.
Exactly. Curtis Samuel is a name that I feel like I've been hearing for decades. It's because of that two first names thing.
Let's see it.
And then the thing that I think is crazy is Jawan Jennings. Jawan Jennings, now he's young-ish. He's
like 28.
Yeah, he's young-ish. He's 28. His market value, according to Spot Track, is insane. His market value, they have him listed at $22.6 million.
I mean, I believe it. I mean, Romeo Dobbs just got 17. Waddle got 17.5. Alec Pierce got 28.5. I believe it.
You think Jennings is right in between all of them?
I mean, I'd probably take Jennings over. I'd probably take him right after Pierce.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
What about this? Juwan Jennings or Cortland Sutton? That's about Sutton's contract.
I'd probably take Sutton there.
Yeah, I think I'd go Sutton too. But not with Bo Nix throwing to him. Bo Nix never throws to Sutton. He hates Sutton. I think Sutton. I think
Sutton did well for you last year, and you know it.
I think Sutton kept stealing his lunch in the facility, so Bo Nix was like, "I'm never throwing to you on Sundays." Okay, DeAndre Hopkins is available. His market value is only $1.4 million. He's 33 years old. He'll be 34 by the time the season starts, so that all makes sense.
You know what's sad when I listen to this? It's like DeAndre Hopkins, his market value is only 1.4 million. He's 33. It's like I'm 33.
What's your market
he,
value?
he sounds so old.
What's your market value, Caleb?
It's probably under $1 million, but you know.
Okay.
Depends who you ask.
Keenan Allen is on here. He is the exact same age as DeAndre Hopkins, same months too, 33.8. They both have been in the league the same amount of time. I think that Keenan Allen will probably end up returning to the Chargers. I think he's testing the market right now, and I think he'll go home. He tried. We tried experimenting with Keenan Allen on a different team, and it didn't go well. So I expect him to go back to the Chargers because I think that he's too old. He's 33, Caleb. He is too old to learn new tricks.
Is that right?
You can't teach him nothing. He's got to go home.
Even that though, for some reason, DeAndre Hopkins feels way older than me than Keenan Allen. I feel like Keenan Allen doesn't feel like he's that old.
Yeah, well, neither one of them feel as old as 29-year-old Curtis Samuel.
That's true.
I feel like Keenan Allen has been 30 years old for like the past 5 years. You know.
Mm-hmm.
It's true. It's because he's got a gigantic beard and a shaved head. It alludes age. It shows wisdom, is what it shows. Okay, let's get off of this. We'll go to signed. And I think, I'll list off some of the bigger signings right now. We can do a kind of a lightning round. So Kenneth Walker, Super Bowl MVP. He went to, obviously, the most sought after running back in the free agent class. He went to the Chiefs. $14.3 million is going to be his average salary, so he's going to get half of what Alec Pierce is getting, and he's the Super Bowl MVP. So that's
he has more rushing yards.
Stupid. Yeah. Jalen Phillips went to the Panthers from the Eagles. He's going to get $30 million a year. So I mean, it's a good time to be an edge rusher, but you know what else? It's a really good time to be a center. Tyler Linderbaum. We were all hopeful that the Bears were going to get Linderbaum, but after seeing his contract, we were like, nah, we're good. Record-setting contract for centers. Got $27 million a year. Locked him down. Travis Etienne went from the Jags to the Saints. Ryan's New Orleans Saints. Ryan was very happy about that.
Etienne is a good running back. I mean, hey.
The Dolphins lost Bradley Chubb to the Bills, so went to a division rival.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, a couple of big signings that happened. And then, obviously, we talked about Malik Willis. He got $67.5 million. Pretty sure he decided on that number for the meme. $22.5 million a year. Personally, I think it's a little bit of an overpay, given his history as a starter. Like, yes, he was good on Green Bay, but so is every quarterback that plays for Green Bay. So, we'll see. He's going to have to prove it because he's not going to have any weapons. Yeah. So, I think these were the big ones. I guess, let me double-check QBs. Oh, yeah. Mitchell Trubisky was the second biggest quarterback signing with $10.5 million a year. He went to Tennessee. Obviously going to back up Cam Ward. So, he was one of the more sought-after backups. He's been backing up Josh Allen for a number of years, and when he did start in rest periods for Josh Allen, he played pretty well. So even though it was against the Jets, so kind of have to throw it out. But
two of the guys that I've been watching a little bit, Calvin Austin to the Giants, which we saw Wan'Dale Robinson have a good year, and I know Malik Neighbors is coming back, but between Calvin Austin and they also signed Darnell Mooney. I think he might have a shot to do something. They're only paying him $1.5 million a year, so it's not like a big signing for him. But if you believe in Jackson Dart, Calvin Austin could be wide receiver too, and maybe hit, 700 yards, 50 receptions, something like that.
Yeah, and then we'll see with Calvin Austin. I thought I had him in Dynasty, but now I actually don't remember if he's on my team anymore or not. So we'll see. Back to quarterbacks. Super Bowl winning quarterback Kenny Pickett went from the Raiders to the Panthers.
Jeez.
It's literally, Sleeper is trolling with their notifications. That notification went through and it literally said Super Bowl champion Kenny Pickett is going to the Panthers. And then we've got some really good steals here. We've got Tua going from the Dolphins to the Falcons, getting an annual salary of $1.2 million, but also getting $50 million from the Dolphins to, sit on the Falcons bench. So a good deal there. And then Kyler Murray, similar situation. Gonna get $50 million from the Cardinals while getting $1.3 million from the Vikings, but maybe potentially going to start. We'll see what happens. Robers is not on, but if he was on, I would grill him about it and, get him to give us the skinny on the deal, on the situation with the Vikings quarterbacks. So, okay. Anything else? Trey Lance re-signed with the Chargers. Well, we're going to get into winners and losers of free agency, but...
No. Tutu Atwell went from the Rams to the Dolphins, and I've always thought that he...
That's not news, Ryan.
No, he's a decent receiver. He has just been overshadowed by Cooper Kupp, and now you got that foreign guy there too. So they traded him over, and I think even though that he's on the Dolphins and you got Malik Willis throwing to him, he could be something special.
All right, I've got some real news. You guys,
jeez, okay.
You guys ready for this?
Don't sugarcoat it. Did
you guys hear about this? Wide receiver T.Y. Hilton has officially retired from the NFL.
Was that news like 8 years ago?
No, that news came out yesterday.
Did you get it
still in
your Hotmail account or something?
Exactly. I saw that.
T.Y. Hilton. Man, I haven't heard that name since.
That is a name I have not heard in a long time. Literally, it came out a day ago. The reactions across the board were some of the funniest reactions I have ever seen. I saw it on a YouTube post from the official ESPN YouTube channel. It was T.Y. Hilton officially announces retirement, and the top comment was, "What year is this?" Apparently, he has been a quote-unquote free agent for like 6 seasons.
Yeah, nobody's picked him up. That's ridiculous.
I mean, there was a time where T.Y. Hilton was a hot commodity in fantasy football.
I think it's so long ago because he was Andrew Luck's for a while he was Andrew Luck's main target, right? So it just seems and that seems like forever ago.
Yeah.
10 years?
Caleb, the last time T.Y. Hilton was playing in the NFL, Phillip Rivers still played in the NFL.
It could have been this year.
Exactly. So it is relevant news. Okay. But yeah, I got that notification. I was like, what? Okay. All right, so winners and losers of free agency. This was Caleb's idea. So we're going to start with Caleb. That'll give us time. That'll give me time to formulate my thoughts about it. So let's start with winners, because I feel like that'll be a little bit easier.
It was kind of funny when I was putting this together. I actually think the biggest winner of free agency so far has actually been the Raiders, even with Max Crosby's trade no trade thing going on. They picked up Linderbaum. Now they overpaid him, but they're gonna have Mendoza as a new quarterback. So I love the move of grabbing the best center available, and he's probably the second best center in the NFL right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was a good move. They grabbed Quay Walker from the Packers, and he was a really good player for the Packers. Packers couldn't hold on to him,
Mm-hmm.
Eventually they were going to lose that. They got the edge rusher Pay from the Colts. He was a pretty good player. And then they got Jalen Naylor from the Vikings. He was a sneaky good signing as a wide receiver, and they got him for pennies on the dollar compared to these other wide receiver contracts.
$11 million a year.
I know, that's what I mean. Pennies on the dollar with these other crazy ones. And then they grabbed Eric Stokes, so they just re-signed him right as the cornerback. But he was a pretty good player for him last year. So yeah, I liked what the Raiders did. It is sad that they couldn't trade Crosby, because if they could have traded Crosby, they would have had 2 first-round picks to keep rebuilding. I think they could actually be pretty decent next year with Mendoza. Like, I think it'll be somewhat of a rebuilding year, but like I could see him winning, 7 to 8 games next year already. A good center makes a huge difference. Um, yeah, so I like their moves. I think they're my biggest winner. I think free agency.
Yeah. I mean, I think that they're probably my pick too, but the only reason I feel a little bit bad about picking them is because it's like, of course, the team that has an insane amount of cap is going to be killing it in free agency, and that's the thing. Yes, they're overpaying some people, but at the same time, they can afford to overpay people. They have tons of cap space. Like I said, they were able to pay all of these guys, and they can still afford to bring back Max Crosby now that the trade fell through. So, yeah, they are probably going to be the unanimous winner, but I will throw out a pick there, and it's a pick because it's not because of what they're doing. I mean, it's partially because of what they're doing, but it's also just what they're not doing. And I'm talking about the Rams. The Rams have made 3 signings. They got Jalen Watson, so they shored up their corner position. They also traded for Trent McDuffie earlier. And that's pretty much been the only big signing that they've done, because the Rams are a good team. They didn't really lose anyone. They're available players right now. The players they've lost: Tutu Atwell, Roger McCreary, which is a corner, which they like I said, they got 2 new corners now. One of them is one of the best in the game, and then Jacoby Durant, who is the one that picked off Caleb Williams in the playoff game, which is sad. But he went to the Cowboys. Once again, they don't need him anymore. They brought in 2 really good corners. And then their available players, Jimmy Garoppolo, DJ Humphries, like they didn't lose anyone that was like a cornerstone of their team. They still have Puka. It sounds like there's potentially some shopping around going with Devontae Adams, but if they want, they can keep Devontae Adams for the year. And Matthew Stafford, he's going to stick around for another year. The Rams have a really solid team, and they have a really good shot at being able to run it back. They're like a top 3 betting favorite to win the Super Bowl right now. And they're being smart with their money. And yes, they traded away a lot to get Trent McDuffie, but it's the Rams. They never have first-round picks, and they almost always are competing, so can't complain about that.
Yeah, I think they value their picks the right way. I think a lot of teams, they just hold on to their picks a little bit too tightly. And it's like, would you rather have, a first round pick in the top 15 picks? Or would you, let's say you have 10 to 15, somewhere in that range. Or would you rather have, a player that is a Pro Bowler, like a good player? It's like most of the time, I mean, you get the rookie deal, which you have to factor that in, but most of the time take the known commodity, right? Because first round picks, it's about a 50% success rate.
Yeah. Ryan, do you have a biggest winner
For what?
for free agency / the trading that's been going on? Like, what team is the most improved to you?
The Bears.
That's very untrue.
Most improved?
Yeah. Well, depends on year over year. No, there's a couple teams that made some great moves that I think were great personally, including the Dolphins shipping off some older guys and expensive guys. So I don't know. I really like the Waddle trade to Denver. So I feel Denver made a pretty good trade with that. But then you look at the Niners, and they're getting Mike Evans, they're getting Christian Kirk. I mean, they made some good moves too. So yeah, I don't know. I don't have a de facto winner, and ergo no de facto loser either.
All right. Well, Caleb, do you got a pick for loser? Biggest loser of free agency?
Yeah, I do, and I don't like it. I'll give you a heads up. This isn't just free agency; it's the entire situation that happened. I got to go with the Bears. I'll tell you why. Because when you take the entire situation that happened, yes, they had to trade away DJ Moore for the cap space. They had to do that. right? The problem is you look at the situation right now, and their team is not. I went into the offseason thinking, okay, we'll retool on defense, right? Like, we got a good offensive line. We'll be okay. Like, we're going to be better next year, right? Our tackle gets hurt in the playoffs. Our center retires. We did our best to replace the center, but the center we replaced him with is not as good as that center that we had, right? Dolman, not even close. And so, and we made some questionable decisions not re-signing some of our defensive players. For what they went for, it was pretty surprising that we didn't re-sign them.
Yep.
And I didn't really understand when we signed like Cam Lewis and Kobe Bryant. I'm like, okay, we signed Kobe Bryant for $13 million a year, Cam Lewis for $3 million a year, which is not a whole lot, and Elijah Hicks for 2.6. But you look at some of the players they let go, and it's like, really? We let them go for, and they went for that. What was like? Why did we not re-sign them?
So you're talking about Tremaine Edmonds, who signed a 3-year deal with the Giants, averaging $12 million. Kevin Byard signed a 1-year deal with the Patriots, averaging $7 million a year. Jaquan Brisker goes to the Steelers, $5.5 million. That's a 1-year deal. And then C.J. Gardner-Johnson, $3.5 million going to the Bills.
Yep. So the problem I had with that situation was, and maybe it's because I'm looking at them with more of a microscope, but I sit here today and I'm like, the Bears have a harder schedule next year, and they're a worse team. Unless Caleb Williams takes a huge step forward, they're a worse team this next year.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. Their personnel's worse.
Yeah.
And that's hard because you look at the situation they were in, and it really shouldn't have been that way. And that's kind of where I'm a little bit frustrated with the front office this year. But
yeah, they still don't have a second starting safety. They brought in Kobe Bryant, and that's it. That's the only safety they brought in. The Kevin Byard one is the one I'm the most upset about. I will say Tremaine Edmonds, it does hurt to lose him, because both Tremaine Edmonds and Kevin Byard, if you watch Bears Mic'd Up stuff, if you watch locker room videos, whatever, you saw that those two guys are huge leaders in the locker room. Like, they're huge for team morale. They're both veterans. They both have been around a long time. So, and the Bears, other than players like them, the Bears are a really young team, so it really helps to have that veteran presence in the locker room, especially two guys that are as vocal as that. So losing both of them really hurt. Kevin Byard hurt more than Tremaine Edmonds, I'll say, because Kevin Byard, even though he's older for a DB, he's coming off of an all-pro season, all-pro, Pro Bowl, potentially the best season of his career, and he didn't even sign a crazy deal with the Patriots, because not only is it only $7 million a year, which the Bears could have easily paid him, but it's also the fact that it's a 1-year deal. I thought that the concern with Kevin Byard would be that he would be seeking a long-term deal since he's nearing retirement age, so he's going to try to lock in a multi-year deal, get as much guaranteed cash as he possibly can. He didn't. He signed a 1-year deal with the Patriots.
Right.
Now, to be fair, though, it sounds like he played for... So he was drafted to the Titans, with Mike Vrabel being the head coach there. It did sound like he really wanted to go back to Vrabel. Vrabel is a defensive-minded head coach. Obviously, Ben Johnson is not. Sounded like Byard wanted to spend probably the last season of his career playing with the coach that he started with. And it does kind of make sense. The Patriots have a really solid defense, a better defense than the Bears, so he can go there. He won't have to get hit as much, probably, because the Patriots have a good set of linebackers. So I don't fault Kevin Byard for leaving. It sounds like he made the move that he wanted to make, but I do think the Bears could have offered, a couple more million, could have offered him a $10 million 1-year contract, and they could probably have kept him. So
yeah, it just didn't their moves didn't make sense to me, because when they traded DJ Moore, I was like, okay, that needed to happen, right? His cap hit is huge, and if you want to go after a premium defensive player, you need to get rid of him, because you have a surplus of wide receivers, and you get a second round pick for him. So I was like, okay, I didn't hate that move. That made sense. Then they released Tremaine Edmonds. And I was like, okay, they're going to go after a premium defensive player, maybe Max Crosby, or they're going to go after Trey Henderson, or somebody like that, right? Jalen Phillips, whoever.
Mm-hmm.
And then they didn't go after any of them. And so I was like, so what was the point of that? Why did you do that? Because your team is now worse, and you didn't fill the hole with anybody.
Yeah.
So that's where it didn't make any sense. So that's where I have to put him as probably, and again, maybe it's because they're under the microscope because I'm a fan, but I don't see the plan. I don't see how this makes you a better team this next year. And you only have so long with Caleb Williams on his rookie contract.
Right.
So I didn't understand it. And you proved last year that you're good enough to go to the Super Bowl. Honestly, you are. But you gotta get your defense a little bit, and you gotta fix your offensive line, which I think they did what they could on that. But I don't know. I was left puzzled at the end of their moves. So
yeah, I will tell you the worst signing that they made, in my opinion, is re-signing Braxton Jones. So offensive tackle Braxton Jones, he was injured he was their starting left tackle last season. Got injured. He has never really shown out. He got injured early in the season, was replaced by Theo Benedict, who was later replaced by Ozzy Trapillo. Both of those guys, in my opinion, are better than Braxton Jones. And it showed the lack of faith that the Bears have in Braxton Jones when in the Rams playoff game, rather than put Braxton Jones in the game because Trapillo was injured in the Green Bay game a week prior, rather than put Braxton Jones in the game, they moved Joe Thuney from guard to tackle and brought in a backup guard instead of Braxton Jones. So you have no faith in this guy, but yet you re-signed him to a $5 million deal. I don't understand it. It's a terrible signing. It's a terrible signing for Ryan Poles. So yeah, I kind of agree. I don't have a pick for least improved team or just worst team through free agency. So I'll piggyback your answer, I guess. But yeah, no. As a fan, it has been kind of a frustrating round of free agency for the Bears. I hope they kill it in the draft because now you got to get a safety, you got to get an edge rusher, you got to get a center. So hopefully they can work some magic in the draft, I guess.
Yeah, I went into this free agency actually being pretty excited. And then Drew Dalman retired, and yeah, the team that we have now, I think, is objectively worse than the team we had last year. And that's where I'm like, I hate when that happens because I don't think it was a cap situation in this case. I don't think it was like cap casualties. I think it was just they had an idea of what they wanted to do, and then they decided to pivot.
Yeah. All right. Well, the last prompt you had was our predicted single biggest mistake of free agency. So what we think will turn out to be the worst move. And actually, I'm going to go back to the Jalen Waddle trade because I do think this has potential to work out in Denver's favor. But at the same time, I do think they gave up a lot for a receiver that has had some injury history who, like I said, I think it's hard to say whether or not Jalen Waddle is a true number one receiver. He obviously wasn't with Miami, and even with Tyreek Hill gone, he wasn't putting up superstar numbers. So I actually think that the Broncos got the worst side of this deal. We didn't grade this trade, but if I had to grade it, I think I'd give the Broncos like a C-, and I'd give the Dolphins a B+. So yeah, I think that'd be my pick for worst move of the offseason so far.
Now, Ryan, I'm curious because you're on the other side of that trade. So what do you think about that?
I thought I already told you guys. I'm a fan of Waddle with a decent quarterback because obviously Tua wasn't a decent quarterback or else they wouldn't have gotten rid of him. So if you actually get someone to throw him the ball, I mean, we've seen receivers go to other teams and they finally get a quarterback and they're a good receiver. So
No, it could definitely work out in Denver's favor. I'm just saying, even if Waddle ends up being awesome for them, I still don't think he'll play the full season because Jalen Waddle, he does what Deebo Samuel did a couple years ago. He'll make a spectacular catch, and then he'll hit the ground harder than you've ever seen another human being hit the ground, and then he's out for 2 weeks. Actually, you know what? That wasn't Deebo Samuel. That was Mike Williams for the Chargers that used to do that.
So Jalen Waddle, last year he missed 1 game. 2 years ago he missed 2 games. 3 years ago 3 games. 4 years ago no games. I mean, injured.
But he is constantly questionable.
I
Every week he's
I
questionable.
don't know if
with an
that's
injury.
a fair thing to say. You know, injured is like you were out for half the season. I wouldn't say he's injury prone at this point.
So Ryan, he is questionable every week during the season. He misses practice every week over the season, and that only gets worse with age. The older he gets, the more those injuries are going to linger with him. And it's just like Mike Evans. You talk about Mike Evans being an injury-prone receiver, but Mike Evans he wasn't that injury-prone when he was Jalen Waddle's age. That came with him getting older and older, and now, yes, he's got bad hamstrings, but he's a 33, 34-year-old receiver in the NFL that's been going hard for years now.
Well, you know what I see with Waddle? I see a guy who almost got 1,000 yards last season with a couple different quarterbacks. So, you know, it might not be a fair set. Hey, if you want to duke it out, I can open my door right now and walk over to the other room and we can fight.
The key word is almost in that 1,000 yards.
Yeah, it was 90 yards short with debatably terrible quarterback.
And
I mean, come on.
The Bears don't have a 4,000-yard passer by the exact same metric. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Ryan, do you have a worst move of the offseason pick?
Oh, I summed that up before. I didn't think. Well, objectively,
he's gonna say the Dolphins for trading away Jalen Waddle.
Objectively, somebody had to have made the worst move. Objectively, but it's tough to tell right now. I mean, you can speculate on who made the best or worst move, but at the end of the day, you don't know until the season starts. So.
All right, Caleb, it is your turn to speculate about the worst move of the offseason.
Yes.
I think my speculation is, and it's really, this is because I don't understand the move, which is the Dolphins signing Malik Willis. Not that I think Malik, I mean, he was the best quarterback available. I get that, but why would you sign him and then trade away all of his weapons? It just makes no sense. You're giving him $45 million guaranteed. And in the NFL, you don't have a very long, like I said earlier, you don't have a very long leash, especially for a quarterback who's not a rookie, who they don't have a lot of draft capital in. If he's going to be a bridge quarterback, why did you sign him with $45 million guaranteed? And you're going to try to rebuild? I didn't understand the signing. It didn't really make sense to me.
Yeah. So with the Waddle trade happening, there's a lot of chatter online now about, it's official, the Dolphins are tanking, which everyone knew. I mean, that's kind of their only choice is to tank. But the thing about it is there's now a lot of chatter about they need to draft a quarterback with one of their 2 first-round picks. Why would exactly. Why would they do that? Why would they've got Malik Willis for 3 years. If you want to talk about developmental guys, they do have a quarterback that's going to go into his second year that they drafted last year that, maybe showed some flashes. So why would you draft a first round quarterback now? Doesn't make sense. You've got Malik Willis. You've got another young guy receiver quarterback that's, maybe a development project. So yeah, it's an odd move. The Dolphins, it's funny because the Dolphins, they take 1 step forward and 2 steps back, and that just kind of feels like the way that organization has been ran for the last couple of years. Like, I love that they're eventually setting themselves up to be in a good spot cap-wise. Right now, they have a terrible cap situation, but in a season or 2, they're going to be sitting in a good situation. And I love that they're getting tons of picks, but then, yes, the signings they're making aren't making sense, and it doesn't make sense why they're not retaining some of the players they're letting go.
Yeah, that one has a ton of red. Yeah, that one has a ton of red flags for me. It's like, okay, you're signing a quarterback for 3 years with 45 million guaranteed, and you really pay attention to the guaranteed money, right? Because at the end of the day, if he's not good in 2 years, they can cut him, right? But they're gonna have a dead cap. So that's one red flag. Second red flag, it's a quarterback from Green Bay. There's a storied history of quarterbacks coming from Green Bay onto other teams and then sucking on those other teams, right? There's a big history of this because all quarterbacks play well in Green Bay.
Bart Starr, right?
Bart Starr, that's exactly it.
I knew it.
So and then 3, they traded away Jalen Waddle. They let Bradley Chubb walk. It just doesn't make sense. Like, why? It's like they're halfway in win now mode, and then they're also like, yeah, but we're also going to rebuild and start everything over, So it just doesn't make sense. And if you'll notice, the theme that I have this time for teams that I do not, that I think were losers of free agency are teams I do not understand their moves. So,
yeah. Okay. They also traded away Minkah Fitzpatrick for a 7th round pick. That was a cap space. That was a cap saving move, but they only saved $5.85 million by doing that. So I probably would have just held on to Minkah Fitzpatrick. So, okay. Well, I think that does it for this episode. The next episode is going to be in, I think, 3 or 4 weeks. It'll be our pre-draft episode, pre-NFL draft. So, yeah, we'll have to nail down a date for that. Obviously, it's got to happen before the draft, so it'll either be a week or 2 before the draft. So we'll talk about that. And otherwise, I think we're good to go. So, all right, thanks for listening, and we will see you guys later.
See ya.